So we're going to talk about the Kohberger Alibi, the document recently, the objection by the defense to share an exact location of where Kohberger was on the night of the murders. So in this document, where is it? Right here. It says he was driving around that night.
Yeah.
So, for an alibi, standard, you say where you were, and then you have to have a specific location usually, and then you have a witness testify or video, something that confirms it. Yep. And in this case, the prosecution was since they released that document, it was last week or the week before, saying that they were going to present an alibi. The prosecution was well, then tell us where your location was and the witnesses that you're going to use. And Taylor's basically saying, nah.
Yeah,
no.
She is.
And, we read through this whole document on live stream. It'll be in our VODs on YouTube. And the language used is very interesting from what we saw.
I thought so, too.
Really interesting. It really seems like she's throwing the prosecution under the bus. In the second paragraph, first page, it says, and I'm just going to read this real quick because that's what we kept going back to.
Yeah.
So, Idaho Code 19519 and ICR 12.1 require an alibi disclosure of a specific location with a specific location and witness to so testify. By statutory definition, Mr. Kohberger may remain silent yet testify that he was not at 1122 King Road, November 13th, 2022. However, in an abundance of caution and recognizing the court has authority to exclude witnesses, Mr. Kohberger has indicated he anticipates corroborating witnesses.
Yes.
Abundance of caution.
Yeah. No, I think that was a good call out. And like we talked about on the live stream, that the way things are worded in here matters. And in my opinion, this is the first time we see an attack on the prosecution in this situation. Every other time I feel like she's been at least appearing understanding. Okay. Yeah. She's asked for the training history and records of those police officers. Yep. And did it in a very nice, respectful way to the prosecution. And this document doesn't feel so nice and understanding, in my opinion. I'm getting, we don't trust you.
That's what it seems like. And, I watched, I think it was Court TV, and I saw some people, some experts, basically, people in law enforcement and stuff, attorneys, I think, talking about it and saying, this seems like an admission more than anything. And I was thinking, well, yeah, okay, when I first read it, and this is what it says, okay? This is what it says word for word when they say what he was doing that night. Mr. Kohberger has long had a habit of going for drives alone. Often he would go for drives at night. He did so late on November 12th and into November 13th, 2022. Mr. Kohberger is not claiming to be at a specific location at a specific time. At this time, there is not a specific witness to say precisely where Kohberger was at each moment of the hours between those, November 12th, November 13th, in those early hours when the murders happened. He was out driving during the late night and early morning hours. So,
which we have confirmation statements of neighbors by him or next to him at his apartments saying that they were bothered by him being up late multiple times, whether it was vacuuming or being active or whatever.
I
and
wanted
that
to
just
bring that up.
shows a history. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, I have a video here of a lady who, which it's on News Nation, but it also says Lion. Okay, so it sounds like News Nation is the one that had a reporter on the ground.
Okay.
But this is posted to Law and Crime. And she interviewed the neighbor. It was below him, I believe, right? And yeah, she said he was always up late and they heard loud sounds like vacuuming. They said they thought he was a night person. So I guess, I don't know if I need to play it now. That's the gist of it.
I mean, I would play it.
Okay.
Who lives downstairs from Kohberger, and she told me she had really never met him, only to say hi, and only learned his name last Friday after that search warrant was executed. Did you ever hear anything up there or anything like that?
Yeah, we heard, we heard loud sounds during the night.
Yeah.
Many times.
Yeah.
Not just one sentence. So it seemed like he's a night person, not do a lot of things during the day, but during night he's very active.
Right.
To like clean the floor sometimes, vacuum. It's very loud sound.
I thought that was interesting. It was also cleaning sounds. Like, they were talking about him cleaning his car with gloves. He's up late cleaning his floor and vacuuming a lot.
That's a good call
Maybe
out.
he's a clean freak. Maybe he's OCD.
Yeah. Totally could be.
That made me think, okay, we were talking about last night when we were live streaming and talking about this, like somebody in the chat said, I like to go on drives when I suffer with insomnia. I like to go on drives at night. It helps me relax and stuff. And we talked about that. So, yes, it raises a red flag that he was out driving around that night. But I think that's pretty much confirmed by the cell towers. Even though it can't be pinpoint, it does look like he was moving around. And you can't tell unless you're switching from one side of the tower to the other. Well, see, he
Otherwise,
connected to a different tower that night.
Okay.
So
then that is more than likely confirmation, depending on if the tower's further away, and that can happen.
Yeah.
If the tower's full.
So I have the map that the prosecution is saying that this is the evidence, everything they have from security camera footage at businesses to the cell tower and stuff. This is how they've put together this map of where he drove.
Okay.
So it says August 21st, his phone is picked up close to Moscow Murder House between 10:34 and 11:35 p.m. He makes 11 subsequent visits before November 13th murders.
So that's fake.
Yeah.
It's not possible to know when there's a single tower in a town.
And he was going there for work.
Well, and that doesn't even matter, though. Still, there's no way for them to know. There is no way for them to know. So the reason why he's there, any of that, none of that matters because they literally can't know where he was.
It just seems like cherry-picking information.
It's not cherry-picking. They just don't know. So we've covered this topic a bunch. There's 3 sides to a tower, you guys. You can only be connected to whatever side of that tower you're on, okay? You can be bounced back and forth between one or the other if you're in between one of the 3 sides, but all towers are triangular like this, okay? And when you're on one side of those, unless there is a second, third, fourth, just for kicker, tower, they don't know how far you're at. So on one of those sides, it might give you coverage 10 miles out. If they say you're connected to that side, it is a guessing game if you're 100 feet from the tower or if you're 10 miles from the tower. There is no way to know. None.
Right, so it's all just you're connected in that direction.
Correct.
Like eastward.
Correct.
Eastward or
Yes.
north.
Yes.
It's just in a straight line until the end of the coverage.
Absolutely.
So they can't tell how weak or like strong your
No.
signal is to
No.
it or anything like that?
Nope, too many factors. I'm sure the cell tower can say you have a weak connection or not, but just some of the things that impact that are the function of your phone, the SIM card. Is your SIM card secure in your phone, or is it getting a faulty connection to the pins that are in there? Like, it's an endless amount.
There's also sometimes, like, you know, like I go into stores, like Target's a bad one, where for some reason it's like they have a blocker in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
Now,
weird stuff like that too.
cell tower data is reliable. I'm not saying all cell tower data is not reliable. It's reliable when you have multiple towers to triangulate. That's why we call it triangulating, because if you have one tower here, and one tower here, you know, this tower will tell you that you're this on this side or whatever, and then this tower can tell you're on this side, this can tell you're on this side. What they'll do is gauge the strength on all three of those towers and create a round saying, okay, so they were somewhere in this, and it's pretty accurate at that point. Mm-hmm. So usually within 50 feet, 50 to 100 feet.
So now we go to the night of the murders. November 13th, 2022 at 2:42 a.m., Kohberger's phone is picked up near his home in Pullman, Washington. Now, 2:47, it starts to begin traveling south through Pullman before going offline. Then, 4 a.m. to 4:20 is when the murders take place. Then, 4:48...
How do they know he was going south?
I don't know. 4:48, Kohberger's phone pings again on Idaho State Highway 95 south of Moscow. 5:30 a.m. arrives back home. Then 9 a.m. his phone begins to move. 9:32, phone is picked up near Moscow Murder House. 12:36, drives past Kate's Cup of Joe coffee stand, which is way down south in Clarkston, like way down here.
Funny, that's titled Bryan Kohberger's Stalking.
12:46, he visits an Albertsons grocery store.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think they were claiming he picks up another cell tower down here.
Okay, then
on the
that would
southern
at least
part.
be a little more reliable.
Yeah.
Two is a lot more reliable than one.
Right.
Yes.
So I thought that was interesting. That's what they're claiming his whole path was. And I'm really curious when, you know, Ann Taylor gets her experts in there, if they're going to claim it was a different route. Or, like, I'm so curious how this is going to end up being argued. Because now it's, like, going to be the battle of the experts. Like, and who could be correct? Who are you more doubtful of? You know, there's no way to be exact unless we have cameras, like, at every corner to see every turn he made.
Yeah.
Or somewhere he stopped at the time of the murders. Like, that's the only... I mean... It's whoever's going to present the case better.
What's interesting here, okay, is we've seen all this footage of the car, all the leaked footage, the Linda Lane, the dude, I hate that video where you cannot tell what car it is. You just see them doing a turn each time.
Yep.
You have no idea what car that is.
No
they
idea.
Could be dropping dope in that trash can there and somebody else coming and picking it up. Like, that could be a drop spot, you guys.
It could be.
So why so many people think that's Kohberger's car, I don't know. But those things bother me because, to me, and what we promise you guys is an unbiased entertainment conversation from us. And when you're looking at information like this, you're looking at it biased. You're looking at it through a lens. You've got to be able to get to a point emotionally where you're willing to accept that he's innocent, okay? And he should be innocent until proven guilty, and accept that he's guilty.
Yeah, like, be able to accept it either way.
Or.
Yeah.
Correct. And if you're not in a place where you can do that, where you can accept one or the other, regardless of what you think you believe your opinion is, I suggest you work towards that.
Yeah, because neither of us are trying to say it either way. We're not saying Bryan's innocent. We're not saying he's guilty. We're saying there's holes in this evidence, and hopefully those are filled.
When somebody's life is on the line, in my opinion, you guys, and we can even go back to the Y&W Melly case, a lot of people, talk some trash to us because I said I was not comfortable enough to convict him in that situation, because if he would have been convicted, 8 out of 12, or wait, 6? No, 8. It's 8. 8 out of 12 jurors would have said, yes, he's guilty. He would have gone for the death penalty. When somebody's life is on the line, I need to be sure. I need Gilgo Beach type evidence is what I need.
Yeah.
And there were enough question marks in Y&W Melly's case. And does Y&W Melly look guilty? Yes. Is he guilty based on that evidence beyond a reasonable doubt? No, in my opinion.
Yeah.
This is very similar, where this is not beyond a reasonable doubt to me. A man's life is on the line. I mean, this man's life that's on the line could be named anything. In this case, it just so happens to be Bryan Kohberger, and it just so happens to be about these unfortunate people that ended way too quick, right? But his life is still on the line. It is still a man's life, and I value all life. So, in order for me to be bought in, I need to be sure.
Mm-hmm. And I'm also interested because, okay, they don't show a line of him driving to Moscow. He did not go from Pullman down to this I-95 and go to Moscow. No. I mean, well, I guess that's the
route they're
gap.
saying back, right?
That's the route back. So his phone turned off, and so he's unaccounted for an hour.
I have question marks all over this picture, and we'll have this picture up the whole time we're talking through this. I'll put it on the screen for you guys, but
that is questionable, though. If you think about it, why, if he's going for a drive that night, does he turn off his phone?
His phone could have died.
Did it die, or? I mean, that's weird, though.
It's not.
I know, but we're talking about coincidence. That's a hell of a coincidence that you go out driving.
Okay, so
you're in that area, or wait.
Okay, so
wait a minute.
I have to charge my phone, you guys, and I have an iPhone. Okay, I have to charge my phone twice a day. I use my phone all day long because of the type of job I have, okay? Is it possible, if I'm tired, having an insomnia situation going on, have music playing, whatever, that my phone could die? Absolutely. It's happened to me multiple times. I think, yes, this is a coincidence, but there's explainable other theories. I think that's the big difference between coincidences, where the other theories can explain it too, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
But what?
The only thing, okay, so it's weird. His phone doesn't turn back on until he's already on 95 south of Moscow.
Not true, because he's only on one tower. You got to remember that. This is somebody else's story.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think they're pinging him down here where it's another tower.
But we gotta pull up that tower map
and
to know.
They're filling in this line between Moscow and number 5, okay, that you can see on the screen. They're filling in these lines and around town with his route with supposedly surveillance footage in some areas.
Mm-hmm.
So they're claiming that surveillance footage that they have, which I don't think we've seen all of it, we've only seen a screenshot of it,
mm-hmm.
is for sure his car. Now, I'm thinking, I had this impression in my head the whole time, and I don't know why. Maybe I was just, like, blind to the facts. I don't understand. I thought they literally had his phone near the King Road residence the night of the murders. Like,
No.
had a cell tower ping that they were claiming, which I know is not reliable, was there around the time of the murders.
No.
They're also claiming that his phone connected to the router, but his phone was turned off the entire time.
I know. Somebody called that out, and we didn't catch that on one of our videos. So that's why I love our viewers. I appreciate you guys, because that should have been caught.
I didn't see that comment.
That should have been
But
caught.
I'm trying to connect this because I feel like I've heard claims about his phone being in that area around those times, it connecting to the router, but none of that can be true if his phone was off the whole time.
Agreed.
And how are we confirming this surveillance is of his car? I want to know, did they catch a license plate? Did they catch a picture of him, like in the picture, him with the window rolled down? Like, how do we know it's his car for sure? Because if it's just a white Hyundai Elantra, there's 22,000 of those.
Which we'll have another story on that too. That a different white Hyundai Elantra, but
Because just a couple surveillance videos, 1, 2. That cannot tell you a whole route a car went around a town. That can just tell you they passed by it.
That's why I'm questioning this case in the way that I am. Because again, I go back to a man's life is on the line. He is going to be put to death.
By firing squad?
Yeah. Yeah.
Which that was a news update last week, guys.
But no, this isn't solid, in my opinion. This isn't solid, okay? And even the pictures that we see of the Hyundai Elantra...
They look horrible.
They look horrible, and they have really dark tinted windows. And so... what someone's going to say when they're watching this is, it's dark. You can't tell what tint they are.
Oh, yes, you can.
No, you're right. I can't tell what tint it is. But what I can tell you is that the front tint is the same as the back tint. Now go look at Kohberger's car. So, you're right. I can't tell how tinted. But I can tell that Kohberger's car has a different tint on his back windows and his front windows, and the one in the picture has identical tint on the back and the front. So
how can you tell that then?
Just by looking at the image, it's just
same?
light reflection. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Because black absorbs light, okay? And there's enough light in that picture for the car to go by that we're able to see the side of the car. So there's enough light for that tint on the windows to absorb it. Now, taking that into account, if you would have had two different tints on those windows, you would have seen a difference. They both would have been dark, but you would be able to see a difference. You cannot. You cannot. It is identical tint. It is aftermarket tint on those windows. Kohberger's car has stock.
Right. His has stock tint.
Correct.
It does. Where it's darker in the back and lighter in the front.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, one thing I'll say is I think there's been some blending of the facts a little bit is because this is like the first I've actually looked at this map and like tried to think about it, like how they have this set up and stuff. But I feel like this whole thing with him supposedly being in that area 11 times before the murders and like with the cell tower data, I feel like that's got blended because I swear I remember them saying they have cell phone tower pings of him there on the day of the murders.
I'm sure somebody did say that, but you have to go back to the unreliability of that.
His phone didn't even turn off until
I know.
It didn't even turn off like while he was on the way to Moscow.
I know.
He was still in Pullman when his phone went off.
I know. Yeah.
And then there's claiming that there are surveillance footage of his car over there, and that's how they're saying this happened.
Yeah.
What if he didn't go to Moscow at all? What if that's a totally different car and he went down this way and was driving it down around here?
I
went
know.
up to Moscow.
I know. Yeah. All these things are totally possible. I think that's why
Well, no, actually, I don't think that's possible.
we emphasize the data on the cell phones.
I'm no like expert when it comes to this stuff, but I'm just trying to think also how her experts would try to like debunk this and reroute it.
I just need a beyond a reasonable doubt to put somebody to death, okay?
Yeah.
So the prosecution's probably glad I'm not sitting on the jury because I need concrete, period, point blank, Gilgo style evidence to make me feel comfortable and be able to go to sleep at night putting someone, on the table. So
And there is circumstantial evidence that can be very, very compelling and like...
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Circumstantial evidence is like...
Oh, yeah,
there are
they
cases
did
that have been won on only circumstantial evidence. Absolutely.
So it's not like I need like straight up... His blood is there, his fingerprints are all over the murder weapon. I don't need that level of evidence to think someone's guilty, but what's here right now, I don't know. But where's the part... Do you remember the part where it was like really throwing them under the bus? Isn't it right here?
It's the second statement of right to testimony and allow witnesses in and stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to mention that real quick and then move on to the other... Right here?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it basically says their analysis is under the way. The defense has been, diligently working to analyze and do its own investigation. Okay, notably, the defense had to obtain a court order to receive relevant discovery materials. That delay hampers the defense's investigation.
Yep.
Okay, I don't think this is where it is. Isn't there? Okay, it's right here. Okay, the state's motion, which is their motion to compel him to give a specific location and a witness. So Ann Taylor's saying the state's motion is an attempt to force the defense to open its work product files and let the state peek inside. The defense has stated all that can firmly be stated at this time. This is not trial by ambush from the defense. This is the defense requesting information as quickly as possible, yet in some instances face the delay of requesting a court order to obtain information. The state continually, I can't like... Continually uses those opportunities to attempt to force a waiver of a speedy trial. That is a decision left to Mr. Kohberger and Mr. Kohberger alone. So, Mr. Kohberger was out driving alone. Corroborating evidence may come from cross-examination of state's witnesses. That's interesting.
Yeah.
So they're going to try to use the state's witnesses against them.
Yes, they are. Absolutely. And that's what we talked about before, actually. That's what I thought was going to happen. Because this whole time, okay, I have thought that Kohberger was in his car alone. And I don't believe there's some big conspiracy here going on. And we're going to do another video on the Idaho 4 where we talk a little bit about that because I think that's important. But if let's just pretend there was some big conspiracy. Like, in order to set somebody up, you need to be able to know that they're in a position where they could be set up. So they would only be able to be set up if they were alone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
So just pretend that's going on here, which I don't think it is, but pretend that's going on here. They would already know that he was alone.
Right.
So...
Yeah.
And I think wherever he was driving, it's probably... Look, if I'm an insomniac and I want to go driving, do I want to go driving at night in lights and city? Or do I want to go driving somewhere calm and dark? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Calm and dark.
Yeah, and the route of like going from Pullman to Moscow and then down around would kind of make sense for that, honestly. Because you like drive through the places you know and then go off like on a, lonely little highway and go back home. Now, does it also look super sus and your phone was off while you were in that area? Yeah, it does look sus. Yep. But, I mean...
Is it explainable? Yep.
Is it?
Yep.
Yeah.
To cause reasonable doubt.
But... Also, they're going to have defense experts. She's continuing to say Mr. Kohberger will keep complying to his duty to disclose information.
Yeah.
And I thought this was super interesting. I thought it was really interesting how she kind of took a firm stance and threw them under the bus and was like, look, they're trying to mess with us and make him waiver his right to a speedy trial by, making us over and over ask and file these motions to compel them to give us the information, delaying our ability to build a proper defense for this guy. They're playing super dirty.
Yeah.
Judge, that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what she's saying. They're playing dirty.
A good example on here, too, is it says, I think a lot of times... Because we're so caught up in the case, you could look at an ant through a microscope and not realize that there's a whole ant colony around it. When you take a step back from the situation, you're actually able to see the entire situation. And it states in here that they've only had this information for 2 weeks. And the prosecution is expecting them to go through all this data and come up with evidence of the alibi in just 2 weeks.
Right.
That's not that much time, you guys.
It's not nearly enough time.
And the alibi is not the only thing they're working on. They're going to be working on other things, too.
Absolutely.
So,
refuting all of the evidence the prosecution's going to bring to the table.
Absolutely.
There's a ton that goes into this. I'm sure Ann Taylor has, like, a lot of help.
Yes.
They have people looking through this stuff constantly, but I do think that's really messed up because if he waivers his right to a speedy trial, it could take years. This trial could take years.
Yeah, his life is gone, and if he waives the right to a speedy trial, then they're hoping on people forgetting about, you know what I mean?
That is probably what they're trying to do. They don't want as many eyes on this case.
They want it to
die down a little bit.
Go away from a speedy trial, and then they'll let off the gas.
Yep.
So shady.
But, I mean, maybe I'll just save this for another time, the press conference, because we've been talking about this for a while.
Yeah.
You know what? I think it's honestly better for a live stream anyway. Mm-hmm. So come check out the live stream, and we're going to talk about a contradiction that is in the press conference that kind of goes back to the 40% of students not wanting to come back and needing to find a suspect quickly and the loss of money and all that, because we did Why Money Matters, like the finances video about all of this.
Money and drugs is what I find
go hand in hand.
The most important thing in most cases.
Right. If it's not one, it's the other type of thing.
And I stand by 90% of violent crimes have drugs to do with it somehow. So
I'd feel more comfortable with that stat if you said money or drugs.
Yeah, I think it's drugs. I think they go hand in hand, in my opinion.
Yep, but I thought the alibi, this motion was really enlightening in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Like kind of the tensions between the two sides.
Yep.
Like, because we all speculated these things. Ann Taylor was really professional and nice in court.
She was.
When she was addressing this stuff. Mm-hmm. But, we're behind the scenes like, we kind of see what's going on here. But
Absolutely.
This really confirms it.
They
are not happy with the way the state is handling it.
I know it. And one of the interesting things here, too, is well, actually, I'll save it. I'll save that statement until, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
But let us know what you guys thought of the alibi, what we have of it so far. Do you think that it's super shady he was out driving around that night? Like, does this confirm your belief of guilty or innocence? Does it make you rethink it? Because at first, it was like red flag.
Yeah.
I was like, ooh, why did he say that? Why did he admit that?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Well, here's the thing,
But that's
though.
what they were saying on court TV. Like, they were like, he just admitted he was in the area.
Yeah.
But he kind of didn't.
No,
He said he was
didn't.
out driving around.
Yeah. No. Okay. Two things were admitted there, if you didn't pick it up. The first one is he was not at 1122, okay? That's the first admission. The second admission is that he was out driving around. He did not confirm he was in Moscow.
No, he never said I was in Moscow.
No.
He just said I
Nope.
was out driving around.
Nope. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. You
So
guys.
interesting. I'm waiting to see more.
Yeah, I know. Me too. And I just hope we get the right guy.
Yeah, and our whole point of covering this case isn't like to delve into conspiracy theories and like, prove that he's innocent. We want justice for the victims just as bad as everybody else does. Like,
Yes.
I feel like the people on the side who are like, there's no doubt he's the guy. We believe the police. They kind of make themselves appear like their whole point is we want justice for the victims.
Yep.
It's all about the victims, and I agree. Like,
It is all about the victims.
My issue is the wrong person going down for this. I want the right person going down for it. I want real justice for the victims, which is the truth. Justice is the truth.
Yeah, and I want 4 victims and 1 criminal to be caught in this situation, not 5 victims.
Right.
Because if he's not the guy, we just victimized him,
Right.
And that scares me. That scares me for anybody because I imagine myself in that situation and how horrible that would be.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, let us know what you think.
Yep.
And we will keep following this for you and
For
with
ourselves
you.
too. Yeah, with you.
Mm-hmm.